Does anybody not want to be photographed tonight? No, okay. Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome everybody to Reflections on Mindful Birthing. This is the first coming together of its kind, and maybe the only one. So it's a special moment for us all to be here together. We are really honored to have three really incredible women who are very experienced in the worlds, in the birthing realm and the birthing world. And also, all three of these women have a lot of experience with mindfulness practices and techniques. And tonight we are going to marry the two topics and find out from our three experts how mindfulness and birthing and pregnancy work nicely together. So we are joined tonight by, in the middle, we have Yeshi Lumen. I'm going to let everyone talk about their own backgrounds, but she's been working as a midwife for a very long time and has done work also in Mexico, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Trinidad, Tibet, Morocco, India, and China. And she's learned from nurses and midwives there. She is actually just back from a trip. Where
Ecuador.
in Ecuador. So she has a lot to share with us from all over the world, and she'll tell us a little bit more also about her conscious grandmothering website and groups that she holds. She wears lots of hats. She also has a master's in history and a master's in public health, and she speaks nationally and internationally at conferences. So she has a lot to share with us. On my right is Margie Jacobs. She's a rabbi, a Reconstructionist rabbi, a ritual facilitator, and she's been a meditation teacher for 15 years. She's the former regional director of the Institute of Spirituality, and she serves as the rabbi at Temple Bet Hillel in Richmond. She is also the mom of a 3- and 5-year-old. And all the way to the right, we have Sadie Cooper, who has swooped in. You're originally planning on having another doula here, Jen Miriam, who couldn't join us because she was ill. Sadie Cooper swooped in like good doulas do to the rescue, and here she is to share with us her experiences. She's also the mother of two, and she is a doula, a local doula, and has experience in prenatal labor, infant massage, and a background in nutrition. So we are going to start off the evening by opening with a chavruta opportunity, and Margie or Sadie is going to lead us in that, and maybe first you can tell the group what we mean, what I mean when I say chavruta, or maybe I should tell the group. Okay, so chavruta is a word. Do you want to?
To talk about the fruit, I'm wondering with the size, maybe we can just have a discussion on this.
Oh.
So fruta is from the word haber, which means friend, and it's traditionally getting together with a buddy and just sharing and listening and discovering. But because our group is small, maybe we'll just all be each other's buddy.
Great. So we were talking today, and we're imagining that maybe some of you will be pregnant, maybe not, but thinking about birth. And so if you guys would just kind of think about birth and just notice what thoughts come. You know, there could be feelings and thoughts of excitement and joy, about pregnancy and labor and thinking about birth. And also, it's like a two-sided coin. There's also it can be fear, feelings of being scared. So just kind of notice what's there for you when you think about birth, and maybe pay special attention to um, thoughts that maybe you try to, fears and you want to minimize or not really pay attention to, or kind of put in the back of your brain. Or maybe something that comes up just right away when you think about birth.
Say your name also.
Can we get a little closer together? For the nearsighted and deaf. So maybe it would be good before we get into that for people just to say what's their name and sort of what their interest is. Maybe just to what their interest is in this topic. Like, is it because they're a mom, or they're pregnant, or they heard about, just. I think that would help us. You want to start?
Okay. So I'm Wendy, and I'm with Imenu Doulas. We have a Jewish birth network in the East, based out of Berkeley in the East Bay, but we go all over the Bay Area. And I'm also a mother, and I'm also a citizen journalist of sorts, so I'm recording and photographing because I'm really excited about the discussion tonight. And I really care about the institutionalization of birth and maternal health, and also for me, like, the Judaism is a big part of it. And so actually, when you started to bring up the focus, I just felt like grabbing my pendant that I've been wearing, which is kind of meaningful for me. It's like a painting that I made of Rachel's tomb in Israel, and I feel like for all Jewish women, especially, like, Rachel Imenu, like Rachel from the Bible, the idea is that she is there and she's advocating on behalf of all Jewish people all the time, and especially women travel to her tomb to pray for fertility and for their families and to find their partners and fulfillment and things like that. So I have my pendant and I started making these, and I just, when I'm facing something, hard or daunting, that's sort of where my focus goes, is to her. That's what I thought of.
I'm Shoshana, and when you brought up the subject, and kind of my interest in being here tonight is to learn a little bit more about how mindfulness can be connected to Judaism, and certainly also connected to the birthing process. I just started working as a doula, so it's a very new experience for me, but I'm very excited about it. So,
Congratulations.
great.
I'm Marissa, the director of the preschool, and I have interest in every area of children and babies and parents and mindful. I would like to bring more mindfulness practice into my everyday life, just as a person. So it hits a lot of different areas of interest for me.
I'm Nama. I'm sorry. I'm a mother of a 14 months old, and her dad is texting me what to do with her. That's why I'm being a bit rude. I'm sorry. But it's okay to say it in this circle. So it's interesting when I thought about coming here. I'm here only for a year from Israel. So I started getting to know mindfulness a bit. And so it attracted me when I read the lecture, the heading of the lecture, and also I'm a mother of 14 months old, so it took me back to this. And also we're thinking about someday expanding the family, so I thought about the future birth. But when you said think about birth, so the thing that instinctively came up is that I thought that maybe in my subconscious why I wanted to come here is because in a way my time in Berkeley here is a feeling of rebirth for me. So that's where I am.
I'm Sandra. I am also here for a year, maybe a second year, we're thinking about it right now. And when I heard from this talk yesterday from Nana, well, I'm from Switzerland, so I think these are two reasons why I'm here. First, because when we're thinking about having here a second year, I think maybe I will have a second child here. I have a 15 months old girl. And it makes me feel a little scared not being at home and getting pregnant and giving birth. And then people told me that there weren't midwives in the States and you had to go to hospital, and then felt like, oh. And then when I heard of this talk, I thought, oh yes, that's very good. It will make me calm and see what women are here to help. But the second thing, and maybe more important, is maybe similar, that I don't work here. It's the first time I'm just with my child, and I also think there are new things coming, and that's really important. So to have like inspired women was, I think, really to come.
I'm Sam. I work here at the JCC. And I noticed in my circle of friends um, starting to plan, 5 years out when people are going to have kids, and it just seemed to keep coming up. And talking about what kind of different birthing options were, and noticing my own anxiety about that. So I thought this would be a good fit for me.
We're just saying your name and a little bit about what you're interested, what your connection to this topic is.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Carolyn Cyrus Lady, and I am 6 months pregnant, so I'm giving a lot of thought to get a really good experience for my first months. So I don't want to just go into it passively and end up in a completely hospital medical situation without, being as aware as I can. So I'm not sure if that's a fit. Okay.
What's your name again?
Oh, Kelly.
I'm Allie Axelbach. I'm the coordinator for Activities in Jewish Life here at the JCC of the East Bay Berkeley branch. I am also a trained doula and also a trained yoga teacher.
Trained what?
Yoga teacher. So I'm interested in both of these topics. In my professional life, I guess, but that comes from personal interest. And I think I'm really feeling similarly to Wendy, in that I would love for moms to just know that there are multiple avenues for receiving assistance and support during this important time, and there are a plethora of really amazing women who want to offer their time and their love and their knowledge, and that finding that match is pretty possible for people. So it was really exciting for me to be able to bring all of you together and to bring all of us together to share that wisdom. And we have a lot of amazing, services that we offer here at the JCC. Ruth, who's in charge of our preschool program, is interested in putting together a baby and toddler program.
We actually do have a toddler program
Oh, we do
now.
have a toddler
Yeah.
program, yeah.
It's a parent and child program at our Oakland branch, and we're hoping to bring it here by the fall as well. But we're looking at creating more support for mothers with young children. At this point, we give, we have family events, and we have a preschool that starts at 2, and we have after school, and we have even some teenage programming. But those first couple of years, when it's so important to have community, we really haven't gotten there yet. And so I'd really love to find avenues to bring mothers together. When I was pregnant, I knew I couldn't do it alone. So I just went up to every pregnant woman and invited everyone over for brunch. And we had a mom's group for 2 years. But not everyone has that option. Not everyone, I just knew I couldn't do it alone. I'd taken care of too many babies to think I could do it alone. So that was a really big part of it, is to start reaching out to the community that, will bring new mothers. We have new mothers in the preschool, but the first time new mothers, it's really, if you're alone, it can be so much more difficult than it has to be. It's going to be hard. It is, just is. But anyway, so I was really happy when Allie talked to me about this.
And I just want to add that the toddler groups are open to fathers and grandmothers and
Yes.
aunts and all
And
kinds of
non-Jewish women and Jewish people. But we do it on Little Shabbat, and it's pretty special.
So I'm Margie. I'm a rabbi and a mom of 5 and 3-year-old. And I've been, as Ali said, I've been teaching and practicing mindfulness meditation and bringing it into Judaism for about 15 years. And the Institute for Jewish Spirituality, which I was the regional director, really focuses on mindfulness meditation, influenced by Sylvia Boorstein, who's a teacher at Spirit Rock, and practicing Jew, and bringing that to Jews. And the foundation's been taking rabbis on a series of 4 retreats, 4 week-long retreats over the course of 2 years, and really transforming reality so that I can then be brought back into congregations and Jewish life. So it's really been an exciting process of marrying meditation, mindfulness practice, the part of the approach and perspective of mindfulness with Judaism, Jewish practice. And mindfulness practice was tremendously helpful during both of my births.
So I'm Yeshi. Think of yes and she. It sounds like a Jewish name, but and I am Jewish. But my mother actually named me. She was trying to. I was born in 1940, and she was enthralled with Leslie Howard, and she named me Leslie. She was hoping for a male movie star, and then a little girl couldn't pronounce Leslie, and she called me Yeshi. So that's what stuck. But so as Ali said, I've been a midwife for a long time because I'm so old. It's been a long time. It's like, let's see, yeah, 40, almost 43 years. 40, yeah. When I became a midwife right after within minutes of my first daughter's birth. She was born at home in Berkeley, in a little shack. And as she came up upon my breast, she was taking her first suck. I heard the words come out of my mouth, "I'm going to be a midwife." And sure enough, that's what I became, because I loved giving birth. I just thought it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. And so I wanted to, and I had looked for my whole pregnancy for somebody to help me give birth at home, and there weren't any midwives here in 1970 when I gave birth. And finally, like a week before I was supposed to, my due date, I found this doctor in Point Reyes who came all the way to Berkeley to help me. So I knew that midwives were needed, and I wanted to be one. So right after that, a few months after that, I moved with my daughter, who I named Rainbow, because remember this was 1970. And Rainbow. And my husband, we moved to a hippie commune in Northern California, where lo and behold, there were 9 pregnant women. And they all were going to be having their babies up in the forest there. And they all thought I was an expert because I already had one baby. And I was, wanting to be their midwife, so it was this perfect, marriage of need and desire. And that's how I began to be a midwife, just learning in the school of life, and everything went really well. And then after about 4 years of that, I decided I wanted to study, so I came back to the city and became a nurse and became a midwife. And I wanted to be a nurse because at that point, it was only legal to be a midwife in California if you were a nurse midwife. So I wanted to work in the hospital because that's where most people still are having their baby, and I wanted to bring what I knew about how birth could be to all different kinds of women. So that's how I started, and I've been doing it ever since. And I have 2 daughters and 2 granddaughters, both of whom I caught into my own hands. That was amazing. And for me, being a midwife, why I wanted to be a midwife was that it was about kindness. It was about being kind to myself and to my baby, and bringing that kindness to other women. And also, it was about freedom to choose how I wanted to give birth, and how believing that women should have the choice of how they want to give birth. And it was also about trusting in my own power as a woman, that I knew how to give birth, and trusting in the power of other women, that they know they have the wisdom to give birth. So those 3 things, kindness, freedom, and power and trust in one's own wisdom, are very much qualities that are, for me, very related to mindfulness practice. So when we get more into talking about that mindfulness, I'll come back to how that all relates. But for me, they're completely related.
I'm Sadie Cooper, and I am also a mother of 2, 4 and 6, and a doula, and I teach classes called Birthing from Within, so I'm kind of a birth preparation mentor. Those are really fun, and we definitely focus a lot on mindfulness, and in those classes, and we have some really great conversations. And I was kind of in the same like you. I had my daughter at home, and it was, I was just completely sold. Like, as soon as she was born, I kind of felt the same way. I would be a midwife. And before I even spoke the words, my mother and my husband said to me, "You should be a midwife."
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, as my children get a bit older, I was on the same path, and I would love to work abroad and work in developing countries and help set up clinics and learn from other midwives. And so I'm just at the very kind of beginning of my journey. And for me, it's just such an honor to work with pregnant women and to work with couples and to be in the presence of just the miracle of life, and I learn so much every single time, and it's such a gift to me. So women think I'm there helping them, but really, I think it's what they give to me is just you can't measure it. So I'm grateful to be here tonight to learn more.
Is there a difference between doula and midwife?
Yes. So I am, as a doula, I'm not responsible for any medical decisions or care. So I'm there for emotional, physical, and informational support. So I'm not actually, midwife does all of the prenatal care and, is there for the birth and, checking fetal heart tones and doing vaginal exams and, before labor, blood draws and, all those kinds of things. So they are very unique roles. A doula can be at a birth with a midwife, at home or in the hospital, and support a midwife.
And our other panelists may, I don't think I want to call you panelists, even though that's what you are, our two other presences, female birth experts, may have more to weigh in on that, but we will have space for that a little bit later in the format. So the difference between, I'm going to pocket that, the difference between a doula and a midwife, and we heard Sadie on that, but Yashi may have something else to say about how doulas support you in your role and what your unique function is in birth as a midwife. So we'll get back to that again. As a next piece, we talked about Yashi giving us a little bit of a sociological context of mindfulness and birthing today. In whatever
Sounds intimidating.
Sounds intimidating. Yeah. So, in other words, telling us a little bit about, maybe since you have had so much experience in the field, telling us about how you've seen the birthing world kind of grow and change over time, and maybe where you think it is today.
Let's see. Well, let's see where to start. I think it's pretty clear that how a culture deals with childbirth says a lot about what's happening in the culture. And right now, the dominant paradigm for how birth is cared for in our culture is pretty harsh. It's most of it takes place in the hospital, and most hospitals, are fundamentally concerned with a bottom line. A bottom line which is making a profit. So, the context in which women, families go to have this most intimate and sacred event is not necessarily geared for their needs. Now, this is not like to bash anybody, this is just like what the situation is. As I said, I've worked in hospitals really, for 30 years. And there are wonderful people who work in hospitals, wonderful doctors, wonderful nurses, wonderful janitors, wonderful administrators. This is not about, the goodness of people. This is about a system that's not fundamentally about, um, taking care of individual needs, taking care of an intimate experience that requires patience, that requires love, that requires mindfulness, because people have jobs to do that, for example, I worked as a nurse in a hospital, and, pressure on nurses, like, to get things done, to get a certain amount of things done in a certain amount of time, is about clock time. And birth is about horticological time. It's about how long it takes, for something to happen. And so, those two things are a clash. And then there's an enormous pressure, on doctors, with the whole malpractice situation, to to basically act out of fear, to think that the worst will happen and to act on that so that they don't get sued. There's an enormous pressure on doctors. And so that, and then the whole institution, is set up like to make money, like to have more interventions, for example, more C-sections than is actually necessary for mothers and babies. The World Health Organization says that in terms of the health of a mother and baby, in terms of saving lives and taking good care of mothers and babies, the C-section rate should be about 10 to 12%. Well, it's like 32%, in Berkeley. Right? So that means that 20% of what's happening isn't related to healthcare. It's related to other pressures, mostly economic. So, and somebody once did a study, very recently actually, on how many things that are actually done to women in labor and birth, how many of those things are related, have a scientific basis, make sense. And only 12% of those do. And the rest are kind of customs, mostly that come, out of fear. So, we're in a situation where it's very important, for women who are birthing to understand what situation they're getting into and how they can best approach it, with the most intelligence, with the most self-care, with the most knowledge, with the most wisdom. Because our system is not set up to basically take care of women. So that's like that's sort of the larger picture. But then on the other hand, there's just, a woman who's pregnant, who's just relating to herself and her baby and maybe her partner and her family. And what does she need in order to be kind to herself, to have the most choice, and to trust herself the most, So that's where mindfulness practice really comes in. Because mindfulness is, how many of you know what sort of the definition of mindfulness is? Do you know all that? Yeah. So what would you say? Not to put you on the spot. I mean, is it?
Experiencing your life. Experiencing your life.
Experiencing your life?
Being aware of what's happening at a certain moment.
Yeah.
Fully awake.
Yeah. Right. It's the difference between being awake and kind of sleepwalking. So it's the awareness that comes from paying attention on purpose to to one's unfolding moment-to-moment experience, non-judgmentally. Right? So if we like break it down into its components, so paying attention, well, awareness. It's about this. What's your name again?
Nama.
Nama. As Nama said, paying attention. So it's about awareness. So it's definitely about awareness. So being awake. And it's about awareness that comes through paying attention. So that in itself is really significant because, from birth to death, really what human beings long for is attention. Like if you think about a baby, those of you that are moms or have been around birth, know that from the moment a baby is born, a baby is, looking, seeking, contact, seeking somebody to reflect themselves back to themselves, somebody who's there, paying attention. And that's something that human beings are seeking our whole life long, is that attention. It's like, it's the most vital thing, it's like air, it's like food, for human beings. And so we also need that from ourselves. We need to be paying attention to our own experience. That's like completely life-saving. So it's paying attention, and it's on purpose. So there's an intention as well, an intention about attention. And then is Nama was saying. How do you, is N-A-M-A?
N-double-A-M-A.
Nama was saying. It's merged though. It's not so Na'ama, right? Nama?
Nama.
You hear both of them, but you don't quite.
Some might be the apostrophe between the two
Was
A's.
saying it's about, your life experience in the present, because that's all we have. We only have our life in the present. Like this moment is all we have. Like, the past is over, the present, the future, we have no idea about what's going to happen. So the only place we can actually experience our life, learn and grow and make choices is in the present moment. And then non-judgmentally, that has to do with, with this quality of kindness that for me is totally associated with mindfulness, that we basically are befriending or being kind to whatever arises, whatever we actually experience. We're not saying, oh, I shouldn't experience that because that's not, I shouldn't feel that because I'm not supposed to feel that, but I am feeling it. So how can I be kind to things I'm experiencing, even if they're unpleasant or scary or challenging, like birth and childbirth and parenting, all of which have an enormous amount of challenge and uncertainty and sometimes fear about them. So how mindfulness for me fits into birth, the experience of pregnancy and birth and parenting is that, certainly it's about how we relate to the stress of change. And what, besides being born and dying, there's really no bigger transformation in the life of a woman than pregnancy, birth, and becoming a mother. I mean, that's pretty major, right? Have you noticed? Like, that's pretty major, So there's a huge amount of change, and with change is some, inevitable stress and uncertainty. So, and then there's all the intense physical sensation of birth itself, which, has been called pain, and how we relate to, the pain of childbirth. And then how we relate to, our children, who are only right there in the present moment. Like, we can only relate to them in the present moment, and that's all they're asking of us, is be there, be with me now. Like, have you noticed, like, when you're not with them now, how they react to that? Like, they don't go away until you, like, pay attention. Our babies are the ultimate mindfulness teachers, because they demand presence. They demand our presence. So, yeah.
I'm just gonna pause you
Yeah.
for a second.
Yeah, I was just about to end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. The next piece we'll move into a little bit of a meditation that
Yeah.
Marjorie's going to lead
So
us
I was just trying to, like, put together all these things of this context of childbirth, which is all about, it's really the antithesis of mindfulness. It's not about, it's about kind of, just going through the motions that people have to, go through. I mean, the people who are working in the institutions have to go through to keep up, and we have to interface with that. And then our actual experience of becoming parents. So it's very challenging bringing all those things together.
I want to just back us up a little bit before we get a taste of what does mindfulness practice actually look like, feel like, what is it? I want to back us up and just sit, notice in your own bodies, in your own hearts. What does it feel like to hear what Yoshi's saying about the context of birth in our country? The ways that birth is being controlled for reasons other than the best interests of mother and child. So just part of mindfulness is, whether we're actually in a meditation or not, just noticing what is going on in my body, what is going on in my heart and my emotions, what am I thinking? And so as we're listening to this is challenging information that Yeshi's sharing is very true and very difficult to be with. And so what does that feel like? And then as you hear Yeshi talk about the hope that there is another way to be birthing, what's your response to that? Not necessarily in your head, but in your heart and in your body. That's actually part of the practice of mindfulness. It's just noticing. What am I feeling right now? What is my body feeling? What is my heart feeling? So I wanted to do that for a second. And then to give us just a little taste of practice. And the word practice is interesting because it's not, we're always practicing. There's not a right way to do it, and there's never a place to get to. It's just something to do, again, as you were saying, moment to moment. And we create space, we set aside time and place in order to intentionally strengthen our capacity to be mindful in whatever we're doing. So it's kind of like a workout for our awareness or for our spiritual selves. We're strengthening the muscle of awareness of our direct moment-to-moment experience through this meditation. So if you're comfortable, and we're going to do this just for about 5 minutes you to allow your eyes to close, to notice, feel in your body, in your direct experience, your feet on the floor. What does it actually feel like in the soles of your feet to be stepping on this earth? Feel your legs and your sits bones sitting on this chair. Feel yourself supported by the ground, by the chair. You might feel yourself relaxing just a little bit more as you notice there's actually nothing to do in this moment, that you're supported by the chair, the ground, and this group of women who've come together for this evening. And allowing your spine to be comfortable but supportive of being alert. So it might feel like your shoulders, your head are just floating up a little bit. Allow your jaw to relax, your eyes to rest in their sockets, inviting your shoulders to widen. Your body in a relaxed but alert position. And as you sit here, you may notice the sensation of breath coming in and out of your body all on its own, either in the rise and fall of your chest or your belly, or the sensation of air in and out of your nostrils. Whatever sensation is